Yes, hello, I am back, and wouldn't you know it, but I have been doing this for a full year now. You'd think I would have gotten better at it. Though there are 52 weeks in the year, this is only episode 50, because in addition to taking the holidays off, I also missed a week to drive across the country, which was incredibly boring, and to take a rafting trip in the Grand Canyon, which I would have to say was decidedly less so. Anyway, as it turns out, the holidays are a particularly bad time to not do podcasts, at least if you care about cyclocross, which I do. The race density was so high that it's pretty much impossible to recap everything or even fire off highlights, but fortunately, dear viewer, there are already other people on that. Long story short, it was a spectacularly good run for Vascoud Service Golden Palace's Wout van Aert, who now holds a commanding 6-minute lead in the bpost Bank Trophy Series with just one race to go. Things were only slightly less rosy for BKCP Power Plus's Mathieu van der Poel, who took the overall lead in the Super Prestige with his win at Deham. And in the World Cup standings, who cares, because those previously mentioned riders are U23s and thus not contending for the elite overall title. For the record, Sunweb Napoleon Games' Kevin Powles, the winner at Namur, holds a slim lead over Giant Alpecen's Lars van der Haar, the winner at Zolder. But seriously, for an organization attempting to reform road cycling and bring in more eyeballs by having all of the top names compete against all of the other top names more often, the UCI is doing a pretty bad job of that in cyclocross. This is in spite of the fact that the nature of the discipline should probably make that a lot easier. It's pretty much the same story on the women's side. You had Luna's Katarina Nash and Rabo's Mariana Vos just kind of showing up and winning World Cups. And then Nash went on to pick up a couple of bpost Bank Trophy Series races, but still isn't even in the top 10 of that competition overall. And neither she nor Vos is in any real contention for the World Cup overall, which is still led handily by Enertherm BKCP's Sana Kant, despite the fact that Ball was her only podium in the past couple weeks. It's like cyclocross's Christmas week is becoming the new Tour de France. One small window of a larger season gets all the top riders and eyeballs. And almost on cue, here comes the terrible rights administration. No better way to ensure that the World Cup's importance to the season as a whole is completely undercut than by making sure vast swaths of the world population can't see it. And of course, by vast swaths, I mean the, 50-plus crowd that can't be bothered to use a proxy. Speaking of broadcast rights, German television, I should actually specify free German television, will once again broadcast the Tour de France this summer. The report in Der Spiegel further specifies that ARD was able to talk the ASO down significantly on price. It's almost like the race organization sees value in more eyeballs being able to consume their product. I might also speculate that pressure from new German sponsors like Bora and Alpecin played a role, but cycling is overrun with American companies, and our national broadcasters could not give less of a fuck. The Tour vanished from German airwaves because of doping after the 2010 season, the same year, you might recall, in which Ezequiel Mosquera came in second in the Vuelta very, very briefly. And in quite possibly the worst turn of phrase ever used by someone accused of oxygen vector doping, Mosquera says, quote, "I can finally breathe again." Of course, Mosquera's absolution came not from a sporting body, but from Spanish courts. You may recall that Roberto Heras went a similar route, contesting his 2005 positive. As you might expect, the cycling press hasn't exactly delved into the jurisprudence on this, and in fact, no one really has any idea of whether or not these court clearances count. But as anyone following the recent kerfluffle involving the IAAF and the Russian everything can probably attest, settling things at a purely national level is a terrible idea. I'm not Brian Cookson, but if I were, this might be a nice time to put out a statement on what rulings the UCI will recognize. Get out ahead of the curve on it. But for those of you who don't care about the minutiae of governing bodies or doping stories or even cyclocross, you will at long last have something to pay attention to, as it's summer in Australia and they are packing the scene with road races all month. It's kind of like the whole country got exclusive access to cycling's eyeballs just by producing a quality product when there was otherwise nothing to meet demand. I wonder if that's why Yen's hour record came right after the Vuelta, or why Brandel's hour record came right after the regular season, or why no fewer than 4 riders are attempting their respective hour marks between Tour Down Under and Het Nieuwsblad. Yeah, but that part about a quality product, though, and timing. Isn't there just some way we can sign away the rights for money? I'm Cosmo Catalano, and that was the week in bike.